Okay, let's talk about why you should learn Flutter. Maybe you are confused. You don't know if you should learn Flutter or React Native, or you have just started. In this video, inshallah, I'm going to give you a point of view that, inshallah, it will not be biased because yeah, I had a background in web development and JavaScript, then I have learned Flutter in these 2 years. There are some useful things that you can really do with Flutter, and there are some things that I don't like, and inshallah I'm going to talk about it. And then after Flutter, I have learned React. So I really like them both, and there is absolutely no issue to like React or React Native. The most important concept that you have to know, or at least in my opinion, is that these are only tools. You really shouldn't be really attached to one tool or another, and if you need it, you can use it, you should use it. There will always be pro and cons in any language, and there are pro and cons in any framework. So that's the point. The first thing that I want to start with is that if you compare Flutter to React Native, Flutter is pretty a real cross-platform framework. If you compare it to React Native, with React Native you can build your applications only for iOS or Android, mainly because the part that allow you to develop things for the desktop, Windows, or Macintosh is developed by Microsoft, so it is not the same thing. It's a different team. They may update things later, etc. I'm not really informed in this matter, but it is important that the core team should be aligned with the development, in my opinion. And another really important thing is that with React Native, you must, if you want to develop the same website and you have developed an application with React Native, you have to do some transformation, etc., because they are not really the same things. With Flutter, it is not like this. With Flutter, it is a real cross-platform. You can develop your application for mobile applications, for example, Android, iOS, and the same code. For example, if you do like me, that I developed my own design, so it is not the material design or the Cupertino iOS design, you absolutely can use the same design and you build it one time and you use it in all these devices. And you can basically build for Android, iOS, for web as a website and as a static website, and we are going to touch upon this concept inshallah. And you can also develop for Linux. You can develop the same code base, so the same code, you run it once and you can run it on Linux, Macintosh, and Windows. So as a concept of cross-platform, I think that Flutter, it is one of the most complete ones, and it works really well, and it is really fast, and that is one of the most important things. Now I really love Flutter, but there are some things that I think that you shouldn't use it to build with, and this is stated also, for example, in the website, maybe not explicitly, but some kind of. And this is the SEO thing. So the websites developed with Flutter are static websites that are generated, but the point is that since it uses the canvas to draw your website, the canvas API of HTML, that means that you cannot really use the SEO concept, because in the web basically it is a drawing, so it is not really the h1 tag, the h2 tag, the p tag for paragraphs, etc., but it only draws on the canvas, because basically with Flutter it is drawing, so it doesn't get converted into real HTML, so it will not get converted in real h1, h2, etc., etc. So that's one of the main, I would say, issues, but it is not really a issue because it is used maybe so you can create, if you have, for example, let's make this example, and you use YouTube and you have the YouTube Studio part. The YouTube Studio part, really, you can develop it with something like Flutter, so any management type of thing, for example, when you manage your ads, or you manage, for example, your Google account, you can develop these things with Flutter, because the content that you are seeing in that part, you don't really want that content to be visible online or crawled by the browser. So that's the reason why you may want to, in this case too, you may want to use Flutter, and it will work pretty well without any problem. But there are some cases, for example, if you have a content-based website, like, I don't know, a blog or anything else that is based on content, and you want your content to be visible on the internet, I don't know, a blog, website like Medium, etc., you may want maybe to develop that part with using, I don't know, another way. You use a backend, and instead in the visible part, instead of using Flutter, you can use something else. I have expanded a little bit more in other videos that inshallah I think that I will link if I remember. For example, in this case, it may make sense that you don't want to wrap your head around all these things, don't really care maybe about cross-platform. In this case, it really makes sense that you use React Native, because with React, you can use, I don't know, maybe Next with React, and you can make your code a lot more SEO friendly, and then you are able to convert it into app form, etc. But as I have said, the React Native doesn't support Linux. Maybe I haven't highlighted this part. It doesn't support Linux, while Flutter, yes. And a lot of people said that developing things with Flutter, it is a lot faster, and indeed it is, at least in my opinion, and as far as I have read, my opinion is a lot faster. Now I cannot give you a real reason why it is. It has a different approach, etc. It is really similar to React, and indeed in the Flutter's website they say that they have been inspired by React, and indeed it is a lot similar. You have init state, you have set state, and all this stuff. And the beautiful thing is that in Flutter you can also use hooks, because a guy who developed really important packages for our Flutter world, basically you can use hooks, and with hooks it becomes really like Flutter, like React. It is really nice to work with hooks. So why I'm saying this, that you can develop with hooks, etc., is that your process of developing application, it becomes even faster, basically that it is. But as I have explained in one of my last videos, for example, React Native is removing the bridge that was making React Native applications slower. Now I think that they will be maybe compared to Flutter, but in terms of cross-platform, the most complete one, in my opinion, it is really Flutter. And at the end, it depends on your goal, on your objective, what you want to reach. You want to have a more cross-platform thing or not. And the last thing that I would say, that as far as I know, with Flutter, your end size, for example, for the web, it is a little bit bigger, since they use Canvas to draw all the things, compared to React, that even if you are using a framework, it is a lot less. So I think that I have covered everything. So inshallah, let me know if I forgot or said something, so we can clarify things. I can talk about it, and we can talk with each other. And as I have said, to wrap up, is that Flutter, React Native are only tools. You should see your case and develop your projects depending on the case that you're seeing. And even switching between Flutter and React Native, it will not really be a huge problem. And also, if you have a web development background, maybe it is a little bit easier, but it will not be really a big problem. Inshallah, check out my Patreon page and help me out if you want other content like this, or want more quality content better than this. Thank you so much, and inshallah, see you the next time.